This tranquil rural valley behind me contains a stream, a machine, a building that sent seismic shockwaves around the world. Find out where I am in just a moment.
On today's show, I'm flying high with a couple hoping for a perfect property landing in the countryside. But at our first destination, they can't wait to depart early.
I'm thinking this is a bit small.
However, the mystery house soon makes their spirits soar.
Wow, look at that.
That's fantastic. That is impressive.
Today we're in Derbyshire, and this is Cromford Mill, which is one of the Derwent Valley mills that since 2001 has been a World Heritage Site. Quite an honour. Why? Well, because they are the brainchild of Sir Richard Arkwright, who in 1771 created the first water-powered cotton spinning mill, and then built this complex of factory buildings and workers' cottages around it, thus laying the blueprint for the modern British factory complex, which was then copied all around the world. But it's not the only landmark in this county.
Landlocked Derbyshire is bordered by a number of counties, including Yorkshire to the north and Leicestershire to the south. And the county's picturesque setting has provided inspiration for many creative individuals, such as the writer Jane Austen and the poet John Betjeman, who once wrote, "There is every kind of scenery in Derbyshire except the sea." Although there's no coastline, strangely enough, the county is famed for its watery assets, and the natural spring towns of Ashbourne and Buxton are both known throughout the world for their mineral water. Another county highlight is the Peak District National Park. Over 8 million tourists visit here each year, and the park contains around 500 square miles of hills, rock faces and river valleys. With all this on offer, it's little surprise that Derbyshire remains an ever-attractive option for those seeking a rural escape.
Now, you might think that you could get a good deal on property here in Derbyshire because that mythical beast, the average detached house, costs £197,000 here, which is £57,000 less than the national average. However, let's face it, who wants to live in an average detached house? You'd much prefer to live in one of the beautiful houses in the southern fringes of the Peak District, places like Bakewell or Ashford-on-the-Water, where the same house is actually going to cost you something like £400,000 to £500,000. Still, there are places just south of the Peak District, places like Ashbourne or Matlock, where you can get a lot more for your money. And wherever you are around here, there's beautiful architecture.
Limestone is one of Derbyshire's most common building materials, and it's been quarried here since Roman times. Its use has become increasingly popular, and the Peak District is now Britain's largest limestone producer. Today, around 20 million tonnes are quarried annually, which explains why limestone properties are a common sight here. And this two-bedroom cottage in Winster is currently on the market for £165,000. Another distinctive building material seen throughout the county is sandstone. Also quarried locally, it's been used in a wide range of houses, from very grand crescents to slightly more bijou properties. If you'd like a slice of such wonderful architecture, then this three-bedroom Grade 2 listed cottage, also in Winster, could be yours for £197,000. Reflecting the county's industrial heritage, there are also many converted mill workers' cottages across Derbyshire. And this Grade 2 listed one-bedroom terrace in Cromford is currently on the market for just over £102,000.
Limestone or sandstone, Victorian farmhouse or country cottage, it's all out there. But what are our buyers today looking for? Let's meet them and find out.
Dwayne and his wife Samantha live in Walton-on-Thames in Surrey, and they like to live life to the full. They both have successful careers. Dwayne is a management consultant and Samantha a financial services director. But it's not just work that makes these two high flyers.
We sort of fly probably twice a month, possibly 3 times. And You're quite a good navigator now, aren't you?
Well, I'm getting there.
Yeah, we've not infringed any airspace, which is always a good thing.
When they've not got their head in the clouds, our couple can often be seen motoring around the countryside. And it's the scenery they've encountered that has inspired them to leave the town once and for all.
We're both really drawn to the idea of living in hills or near hills.
It's quite good now, isn't it? Because where we are in our careers, in our working careers, is we've got flexibility. We don't have to live in a specific area. You can build your business from a local place, and I travel the country anyway, so it doesn't really matter where I'm based at all.
The location that's caught their imagination is Derbyshire.
The whole of the Peak District is very attractive to us as an area because we love the hills.
We've sort of did a little bit of an exploration, so Buxton was quite an interesting, that's a spa town, so that's got good architecture, but you can see the rolling hills in the background, and Bakewell was quite interesting as well.
To be able to just wander out of the house and start walking into the hills is really attractive for us, isn't it?
And when it comes to the ideal house in the hills, our buyers have a very definite idea of what they want.
What's really important to us about the property is some character. So we love the idea of a period property, perhaps a much older property, or even a barn conversion that's got lots of beams and an open fire and lots of character.
All that's left to nail down are their finances.
So the budget that we've got for our new property is £400,000.
Dwayne and Sam are particularly keen on living in the northern area of the Peak District, close to their favourite towns of Bakewell and Buxton. This is an expensive area though, as there are fewer properties and they're highly sought after. I caught up with them on Derbyshire soil to discover more about their rural move.
So welcome to Derbyshire, or welcome back to Derbyshire, because you know this area quite well, the two of you.
We do.
So lovely houses we've got lined up for you, but tell us again what you're looking for exactly in terms of spec.
Okay, well, we're looking for a 3-bedroom property. I think what's really important to us is the downstairs living space. So the character, beams, fireplaces, and the flow of the property as well. So I like the idea of higgledy-piggledy rooms that lead into each other.
So a period property, because obviously period cottages, that's the sort of ballpark we're looking at,
Yes.
don't tend to be sort of hugely open plan.
No.
But, so you prepare, is there some leeway there?
Yes, I think so. I think you just know when you walk into a property, don't you, whether it feels right. So I think we'll probably have a pretty good idea.
Yeah, maybe a sort of the barn conversion. You can get a sense of openness with a barn conversion with that character. But I'm looking for a sort of an outside space for motorbikes and a projects room. That would be a good feature for us.
And you're both sort of doers-uppers. I mean, you've done quite a lot of renovation in your properties before, so you're prepared to do a bit of work.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, that's no problem.
We'd enjoy that.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's important, because we both need an office from home, would be to have space within the property where we can either have a double office together or 2 separate rooms within the property where we can both have offices.
What about outside space? Because obviously you've got all this on your doorstep, but are you looking to have a kind of big garden?
I think a huge garden is not necessarily a prerequisite for us. I think some nice outside space where we can spend time would be lovely. But as you rightly say, we've got all this on our doorstep,
Yeah,
so...
That's the nice thing about it. You don't have to garden this. So we've got some nice properties to show you. Let's go and see the first one. Follow me.
For their maximum budget of £400,000, Dwayne and Sam are looking for a detached property with a large farmhouse kitchen, a room big enough to be a double office, 3 bedrooms, a garage for cars and bikes, a manageable garden, and it needs to be ideally situated in the heart of the countryside. We found 3 fabulous properties we think they'll find hard to resist, but I won't be revealing the price of each until they've had a guess first. As ever, the last of these is the Mystery House, which is certainly not your average run-of-the-mill home. For our first house, we're heading about 5 miles west of Bakewell to Munyash. This small village is located right in the heart of the hills and dales of the Peak District, and it's a popular destination for walkers, which is lucky as Dwayne and Sam are avid hikers. One of the village meeting points for keen walkers and even bikers is the local cafe. So we decided to have a chat with the owner to find out what makes this place so appealing for would-be escapees.
So what's going on in the village? What's the selling point for?
Well, there's always something happening. Yeah, there's lots of different walks and different routes, cyclists all over the place, but always something going on.
And in terms of your clientele, who do you get? Do you get any bikers? Because they're quite interested in motorcycles.
Lots of motorcyclists, yeah.
So it's a good place for motorcycles.
Yeah, I say there's lots of different routes that they like to take, and they always sort of cross over in the village. It's sort of a central point, really.
Well, we've seen the village, so let's go and view the first house, which is just down the road.
This is the house I want to show you.
It's really pretty.
Well, first thing you'll probably notice is that it is attached.
Yeah.
If you look around the village, I mean, they're all kind of rows of old stone cottages. Dates back to the 1700s, and it was actually 3,
Yeah.
but 2 of them have been knocked together, so it's really up here until that sort of little jutting out bit. That's
Yeah.
the second property.
First impressions, it's really lovely.
What do you feel about sort of attached? Because I know obviously you wanted detached.
Well, in an ideal world, detached, but we're not averse to the idea of an attached property, are we?
No, not at all. I think, yeah, this is in the zone, definitely. Yeah.
In the zone.
The fact that this cottage is not detached has not seemed to put our buyers off. Let's see if they'll remain open-minded once they get inside.
Step inside. So we're coming in the back of the house, as often happens in the countryside. Straight into the newest addition, which is the sunroom.
This is lovely. It's really light.
So let's go and have a look in the kitchen. There is a light shift when you come from that very bright room into the kitchen.
Oh, I like the beams. That's nice.
A good range there. Yeah, that's good.
What about proportions?
I'm thinking this is a bit small.
I think it's probably a little bit of a smaller kitchen than I would ideally like, but it looks like it's very well put together.
There is through here, there's quite a big utility room and a downstairs toilet, but then it flows straight into the sitting room. Now here you really get the sense of the period of the property.
Oh yes.
Yeah, this is good. Yeah.
That wall is gorgeous with the
beam.
the wooden beam. I love that. That's really nice.
The fireplace works as well.
Yeah, proper
that's
working
super.
fireplace.
Yeah, it's great.
Lots of details. You've got this little salt larder here to the side where they used to cure the meat.
Goodness.
But let's look upstairs, because actually it's quite spacious upstairs.
As we head to the first floor, we pass through the family dining room. Upstairs, there are a total of 3 double bedrooms, with one currently being used as a study. There's also a large family bathroom. But now we're viewing the main bedroom.
Oh yeah, that's really nice.
Oh, good wardrobes.
Yeah, loads of wardrobe space.
So there's lots of storage, which is nice in a period property.
Good sized room as well, I think. Nice proportions.
Yeah.
Well, I'll let you explore all the rooms and see which one will work best for you a bit later, but let's go outside and talk about money.
Okay.
Very important.
Out here, there's a garage, which is next to a pretty landscaped garden, and it's all surrounded by stunning countryside.
Well, first off, look at the views.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
We promised you views.
Yeah.
You get your
that's
views.
Really lovely.
And then, I mean, the garden is really, you've got your work cut out to keep this garden up to scratch, Samantha, because it is a really beautifully maintained garden.
It is, isn't it?
So what do you think from the outside? What are your thoughts about the potential here?
My overall feeling is just a little bit
Squishy.
small.
You are, the great renovators, so you're thinking about expanding it in any way?
I think there's potential there, and it depends on how much it costs. Because obviously then that gives us our budget if we did that sort of thing.
So what do you think it does cost?
I'm going to take a guess at 365,000.
What about you, Dwayne?
I'm going to go a bit lower than that. I'm going to go 335.
335. OK, well, you're both a bit optimistic. This is on the market just over your budget at 415.
Oh, right. Okay.
So Moniash is a very popular village. I mean, she's open to offers, so of course you might be able to get it within your budget, but it's at the top end of your budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
But of course it might not be the property for you. But I'm going to give you a bit more time to look around inside and outside if you want. And then I'll meet you at the front and then we can press on to the next one.
Okay.
In you go.
Yep.
It's always a barometer. What people guess is usually code for how much they like it. So, could be a bit of an ambivalent one, this one, but we'll see what their feedback is. Listen.
On the market at £415,000, this cottage is just over their budget. It has a good-sized sitting room with an open fire, 3 double bedrooms, many character features, and there are gorgeous views of the local countryside.
From the outside, it's really nice. I think it's got the sort of stone construction that we are looking for. And the conservatory that we're in now is really nice as well. Great entertaining area. Given the budget, I think for myself, probably not a real contender at this point in time.
I thought it was a really pretty house. I think the character of the house is fantastic, and the way it's been decorated and lived in looks absolutely lovely. So that fits for us really well.
You done?
We are.
All happy?
Yeah, very interesting.
Yep. Interesting is what we like to hear. So that's property number 1 done. Let's go and look at house number 2.
Okay.
Nestled in the Derwent Valley in the foothills of the Peak District is the historic village of Hathersage. This ancient setting, cocooned by miles of moorland, is thought to have been the inspiration for Morton, the fictional village of Charlotte Bronte's novel Jane Eyre. Here, dramatic rock formations like the Higger Tor and the hill fort at Carl Walk make these moors a particular draw for walkers and climbers. But the unpredictable landscape and isolation here means you can sometimes encounter problems when walking these routes, especially if you're ill-prepared. The Edale Mountain Rescue Team was formed in the 1950s to come to the aid of stranded and injured walkers. And as our buyers are extremely keen to explore the area on foot, earlier in the week we arranged for them to meet volunteer rescuer Trevor Lawton.
So what's the most common call-out the team gets?
The most common injuries we deal with are sort of lower leg fractures, which are mainly walkers.
Is it a 24/7 service?
It is. Everybody on the call-out list is on call.
Over the last 12 years, this team has been called out to around 900 incidents, making them one of the busiest crews in the UK. Team members perform training sessions regularly in order to refresh and improve their first aid and rescue skills. The majority of the volunteers are already members of the emergency services, which is invaluable experience, as Dwayne and Sam are about to find out as they watch a training exercise take place.
OK, well, what you sort of see happening now is that the first 2 people that have come in to sort out the casualty, we've got Pippa there that's actually holding the head because this poor person's fallen, well, a good 10 feet. And Judith is just really assessing to see what injuries the casualty has.
It's quite a lot of kit that they use, isn't it?
Yeah, well, this is why we need so many people. 12 to 15, people for a normal carry,
Yeah. So
just a short distance.
How long would it take to get him out of here now, do you think?
To the road, probably about an hour. From getting the call, getting here, getting them out, an hour to an hour and a half. OK, so what they're doing now is they're starting to, obviously, casualties are nicely packaged now into all our equipment that we've got here, and they're in a vacuum mattress which keeps them nice and secure for the carry, which is going to be quite tricky, and this is where we need the people. And they'll carry now to the roadhead, where hopefully we'll have an ambulance waiting, or we may have an air ambulance, depending what's available, that will have landed somewhere close.
With the exercise coming to an end, it's time to leave these hills behind as we head back to our property search. We're travelling around 11 miles southeast of Munyash to the village of Winster. This former lead mining district is full of charm as well as history. The centre of the village is a designated conservation area and boasts notable buildings such as the Tudor Winster Market House. It was the first property the National Trust acquired in the Peak District back in 1906. And it's a reminder of a time when the weekly market of locally produced goods took pride of place in village life. Our second property is a true rural retreat, and it's a former mine workers' cottage in a lovely secluded setting.
So a long way down a drive into a much more secluded place. and actually 2 properties next to each other.
Yes.
But this is the one that we want to show you.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
That is a proposition.
That looks really, really interesting.
Yeah. Well, there is actually, just at the bottom of this section with this dry stone wall, there's a footpath that goes up this hill. It's 100 metres, and then you come straight into the middle of the village.
Oh.
You see the top of the buildings through the trees. So it probably is feels more isolated than it actually is.
Yeah.
Should we take a peek inside?
Definitely.
Look at their faces.
This limestone cottage has certainly caught Dwayne and Sam's imagination. Let's hope we can keep them intrigued as we head inside.
So, come on in. Just to see what you think.
Oh, yeah. This is nice.
This is lovely.
Oh, lots of yes.
It's a real country cottage kitchen.
Yeah, that's
Lots of character.
But the kitchen is one of the newer parts, because the old parts feel very old at all, and they've got lovely features. Take a look at these wonderful tiles.
Yeah, fabulous, aren't they?
But take a look at this. This is again, an original feature, or certainly of the period. It's a baker's oven. So you light the fire in here, and they do light this in the winter, and these ovens on the other side get hot enough to bake in.
Oh yeah, that's great, isn't
There's
it?
bread and...
Okay.
This is the main sitting room, which is again very charming. So, here we are. Sitting
Oh
room.
yeah, lovely room.
And a great beam.
Yeah, that's an old ship's mast.
All right.
In the original deeds, it's listed as a ship's mast.
Oh goodness.
So,
I think this house has got a lot of appeal.
good. Well, we haven't finished yet. Let's look upstairs.
Okay.
Just off this dining area is another space which could be used as either a bedroom or study. But we're now going to take a peek at where they could be sleeping.
And this is what they're using as the master bedroom. See this great view over to Matlock.
Oh, that's
the van.
lovely, isn't it? Yeah.
This is that.
Oh yeah,
nice
this
size
is
room.
really nice.
Nice, isn't it? A dual aspect.
Yeah.
It's very light.
Again, it's surprisingly light in an old building to have all this space upstairs.
Oh, that fits.
Yeah,
that fits well.
this is a really spacious bedroom.
There are 2 other bedrooms up here which are both light and airy, and there's also a good-sized family bathroom. Moving outside, you can fully appreciate the beautiful setting. Out here, you'll find a good-sized garden with a timber store, a garden shed, and there's also space for a greenhouse.
You actually own 2 acres, more than 2 acres of land.
Really?
Very good.
2 acres.
Yeah. But then behind, your land continues basically up the hillside, and then right down to sort of where we sort of came in a way. So you basically have this huge tranche of woodland.
Goodness, I wasn't expecting that. I'm pretty drawn to this place.
Well, how much do you think it costs?
I would say just over our budget. I'm going to go for 405, 410.
I think maybe just a little bit higher. So I would guess 420,000.
Well, this time you're both a bit pessimistic, because actually this is on the market at 399,950.
Really?
So a smidge under your budget.
Yeah.
Go back in the house, have a look, and then have a wander around the grounds.
Okay.
I'll see you on the drive.
All right.
Okay.
That was a welcome surprise for Dwayne and Sam, with this charming cottage coming in just under their top budget. It has a large sitting room, a farmhouse-style kitchen with a range cooker, 3 bedrooms with the potential for a 4th on the ground floor, and it's all set in a pretty walled garden with another 2 acres of woodland.
So coming down that long pathway and finding this house here, just sort of tucked into the hillside, is really lovely. And the fact that there is 2 acres of woodland was a great surprise.
I think the thing for me, the big challenge with this house is the location. That's quite a long drive to this house, and I think in winter that could become a problem for us.
Hey guys, seen everything you need to see?
Yeah,
Yes,
lots to
we have.
see.
Lots to think about, I should think. So let's give you some space to think and take you away from the properties.
As the sun begins to set across the Derbyshire countryside, our buyers get the chance to take some time out to reflect on their first day of house hunting. With a maximum budget of £400,000, Dwayne and Sam from Walton-on-Thames in Surrey are hoping to break free from suburbia and settle in the heart of the Derbyshire countryside. So far we've shown them 2 lovely properties, and while Sam has taken to the character and surroundings, Dwayne has remained rather pragmatic. But can our mystery house finally create a shared vision?
Wow.
Oh, this is a lovely room.
And I discover how girl power ensured the future of one of Derbyshire's most stately homes.
There she is.
Yes, that's Georgiana.
That's the famous painting, isn't it? Slightly showery weather for house hunting today, but generally I was very pleased with Samantha and Dwayne's responses to the first 2 stone-built properties. Samantha, very positive. Dwayne, playing his cards slightly closer to his chest. I think he was a bit worried about how remote the second house was. For the mystery house, very different proposition, and the one thing it does give them is community. So how are you feeling today about our property search?
But could this be, say, maybe a new build but with traditional features?
A barn conversion. We said we quite liked the idea of a barn conversion, didn't we? So that might be nice.
I'm getting the impression that actually the period aspect of the property is less important than the kind of flow aspect. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think that's, yeah. It's all about the space and being able to move around quite freely. And if we get the period features, that's a bonus.
We're travelling to the other side of the county, close to the town of Buxton, to find our mystery house. Built on the River Wye and overlooked by Axe Edge Moor, Buxton has a long history as a spa town thanks to its geothermal spring, which rises at a constant temperature of 28 degrees Celsius. One of the most important periods in Buxton's history occurred in 1780, when the 5th Duke of Devonshire began the construction of the town's crescent. Costing what was a huge sum back then of £38,000, it took some 10 years to come to fruition. Our mystery house is around 13 miles east of Buxton and also has connections with water. And as usual, we're taking a bit of a risk because with this property, Dwayne and Sam will really have to get their heads around the idea of sharing.
Here it is, the mystery house.
Oh, wow, look at that.
That's fantastic. That is impressive.
Well, you mentioned a barn conversion. They don't really do barn conversions in Derbyshire, but they do very good mill conversions.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
That's a really impressive piece of mill and house.
It's a
Definitely.
proper slice of industrial revolution history. It's an Arkwright mill. Richard Arkwright
Okay.
built a whole chain of mills along the rivers in this area. So it dates back to about the 1780s. So the bit I want to show you is this right at the end. See the extension at the end? That's the accounting house for the mill. And it's the last 2 windows. So there are 2 townhouses. Yours is the one on the right.
Right.
Very good.
What are your thoughts about communal living? Because obviously it's a great big converted block.
Well, we wanted a bit of a community, so we're probably going to be part of whoever's here. So that's encouraging. Very keen to have a look inside, really.
I really like it.
Yeah.
Let's go look inside.
On first impressions, it seems the idea of sharing their space could be right up Dwayne and Sam's street. So let's see if we can keep the momentum on the inside.
Now, it's slightly unusual to start in the room like this, but essentially it's an upside-down house. So you've got 3 bedrooms on this floor and a lovely big family bathroom.
Right.
But we were thinking this room would be a nice office.
Yeah.
Well, obviously it's upside down for a reason, which you're about to discover.
Now we're heading for the living space on the first floor.
Wow.
Oh, this is a lovely room. Really lovely.
4 aspects on it, or 4 windows.
4
Fantastic,
windows. Basically, the walls are windows. And no wonder, look,
That's a
Well, that's a view,
gorgeous view.
without a doubt.
the Wye Valley.
I love the window seats too.
Yeah.
I could see myself sitting there having a cup of tea and looking up at the hills.
But it's a great mix of old and new, isn't it? So it's a modern living space in this very beautiful old building.
Well, we thought that, you know, judging by your responses to the old cottages, that actually this might be more in tune with what you were looking for.
Good.
Smiles.
Yes.
Yes.
Bright
indeed.
eyes. Let's have a look at the kitchen. That's just next door. Here we are. Oh, a lovely sunny room as well.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, very, very well finished. Yeah, this is a great space, isn't it? And the flow, just a simple walk
Yep.
through.
Yeah, it's got
That
the
really
flow.
works well. That's
Got the flow.
Yeah, it has.
It's got the magic flow. Very good. And I think it really works having the upside down.
Yes.
Because, of course, here you've got the back door that goes out, and you notice that we've kind of gone into the hill. So actually that goes out onto the street.
Oh, okay.
Multi-level.
But this is a great sociable room as well, isn't it? You know, so cooking, people sat there drinking. And so that's a nice feel, I think.
I really like this room.
Yeah, and this flooring, just works all the way through.
Yes.
That gives that sense of uniformity, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
So good. Yeah.
Now, you might be wondering where you sleep.
I was wondering that.
With me.
Yes, a space to sleep is always high on the agenda, so it's up another flight of stairs to the mezzanine.
Oh, very cute stairs.
Did you say cute stairs? Even cuter en suite.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's great.
That's really nice.
That works.
And then you step over this very industrial beam to get used to that. And here we have.
Oh, so you can see over
Yeah.
to the lounge.
So it's the mezzanine.
Right.
It's built up above the sitting room.
Yeah. Again, unusual character,
Yeah.
but a nice space, definitely. And I think that's why it's got the flow, because it's so open.
It
isn't
is open,
You know?
yeah. That's really, really nice.
Yeah.
What do you feel about the mezzanine bedroom? Because not everybody's mad keen on
No.
that.
I should think if you've got a busy house, it could be quite a challenge, but for us,
No, I think it works.
that would work really well.
Again, not something we considered or we've had before, but a great feature.
Well, that's the inside. Now, outside, obviously, it's communal living, so there are issues around that. So let's go and have a chat about that. Mind the
Okay.
big beam. Head on down.
Dwayne and Sam are clearly very keen on this house, but what will they make of the shared gardens?
So here we have the heart of the mill. There was a giant, up to this first floor, mill wheel in that case, in sort of the housing there, wooden one. And then in the sort of turn of the 20th century, they put in this proper steel turbine.
Yeah, that really does it for me. A nice bit of industrial archaeology and history. Yeah, it's very, very nice.
In terms of your garden, though, Samantha, this is it. There is no private garden with the property.
Okay, so that means I don't have to do any gardening,
It means you don't have to do any gardening, yes.
but I can still enjoy all of this.
Yes, there is a service charge. I mean, it's a communal space, so you pay about £760
Yeah.
pounds a year.
Okay.
But it's a very substantial plot. You've got all this stuff by the waterside. You've got a bowling green, a
Oh,
games room,
Yeah.
football pitch,
Yeah.
gym.
There's
So
a gym here.
So all of that for 760.
Yeah,
It's
not too
a
bad.
good return. Yeah.
And obviously it is a leasehold property because it's part of the whole complex.
How long is the lease?
About 118 years, so it's a good long while.
Okay.
Long enough.
Yep. Long enough for us, isn't it?
Yeah.
What about the price? What do you think it's on the market for?
Oh, wow.
Tricky, no?
It's really hard, isn't it? I have to say, I think this is going to be more than our budget. So I'm going to take a guess at £450,000.
I'll go 425.
It's on the market for £400,000.
Ah, right.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a surprise.
God.
But spot on.
On the money.
Yeah, indeed.
400,000.
Yeah.
I like that price.
Maybe have a look around. If you go down there, you head there, you can see some of the space and take in the architecture of the whole. And I'll see you at the front.
Okay.
Okay.
It was a risky proposition because it really wasn't what they were asking for. But, I mean, if you're going to live in Derbyshire and you want a bit of character, This is character.
On the market for £400,000, this townhouse has certainly caught the interest of our buyers. It has a stunning sitting room with exposed timber beams, a spacious bespoke kitchen, 4 double bedrooms including a master with an ensuite situated on the mezzanine, and it's surrounded by countryside with direct access to walking and cycling tracks.
Well, when we arrived at the Mystery House, it was just breathtaking. Just coming around that corner and seeing the facade of the mill house was really amazing. And when we came inside, it didn't disappoint at all. So I like the dual aspect of the character of the property coupled with the modern aspect and the lightness. And when we found out the price of the house, I think we were both really pleasantly surprised. We definitely need to go away and have a conversation about it because there's so much to think about in terms of the communal aspect and the not having a garden or a garage for Dwayne, which is quite important. So we need to think about whether those things will still work.
Well, the Mystery House, the setting for the Mystery House is excellent. I think it's everything that we were looking for in terms of the geography, the views out the windows, the way the house is set is pretty much spot on. And the shared space is good. Also, the sense of community would work well for us.
British summer continues. Charming.
Still raining?
Still raining. Right, I'm going to get you somewhere warm and dry so you can mull over all the properties we've shown you.
OK.
Come on.
Often dubbed the Palace of the Peak District, Chatsworth House is one of England's most impressive stately homes. Since the 1690s, it's been home to the Dukes of Devonshire and has been passed down through 16 generations of the Cavendish family. However, it's not just the men who've been at the forefront of its remarkable history. I've come to meet Christine Robinson, Chatsworth's head housekeeper for over 35 years, to find out how this place became an incredible seat of female power.
Now, one of the things I'm interested in particularly today is the powerful women that this estate seems to have sort of bred. It's at a time when women didn't have much power in the aristocracy. There've been some really strong women here.
There have been a lot of strong Cavendish women, and I think the first one of those would be Bess of Hardwick, Elizabeth Cavendish. She was a very shrewd woman. She married 4 times. Each husband was wealthier than the one before, which was a very shrewd move. Husband number 2 was William Cavendish, who came from the village of Cavendish in Suffolk, and he'd been a commissioner for Henry VIII, acquired land all over the country, and she persuaded him to sell that and buy land in Derbyshire.
And that's the nucleus of the Chatsworth estate now?
The nucleus of the Chatsworth estate is here now.
And then this house was built when?
This house was built at the end of the 1600s, early 1700s by the first Duke of Devonshire.
Moving forward to the mid-1700s, the Duchess here at Chatsworth was Georgiana Spencer, who in 1774 married the 5th Duke of Devonshire. In her day, she was renowned for her charm and innovative fashion sense.
There she is.
Yes, that's Georgiana.
That's the famous painting, isn't it? Who's that by?
It's painted by Gainsborough. It's quite a stunning picture with her trademark hats. I think she was quite one for flamboyant hats and a real trendsetter in her day. She did a lot of unusual things for a woman of her day, and so because perhaps she lacked the affection at home that she would have liked.
She had a lousy marriage.
She didn't have a very happy marriage, and I think she became very involved in politics. She was also passionate about education for poorer people. There was a lot more to her than a woman of fashion, although she did set the trend with these fabulous hats she wore.
So spinning forward again, we've got another powerful woman who's still alive, the Dowager Duchess. What was her role?
She had an incredible influence on Chatsworth, together with her husband, the 11th Duke. And when they took over in 1950, they had to pay 80% of everything they owned in death duties. Some things had to be sold, but they were very shrewd and careful in what was sold. And I think it was the drive, really, of the Dowager Duchess, as she is now, that made the house what it is today.
We're now heading to the library, which is not usually open to the public as it's still used on a daily basis by the Dowager Duchess's son, the current Duke of Devonshire. He is the 12th Duke and continues his mother's legacy of preserving the family home and its unique contents.
There is a fine line, I think, between being businesslike and succeeding. I think Chatsworth has succeeded in keeping its integrity, and that's an awful lot of that is down to her and the way in which she's influenced her son. The current Duke has always been closely involved with the management side of things and how we run it, so he's had a really good grounding from a very good teacher in his mother.
The story of Chatsworth's ladies has spanned many centuries, but even today it's still clear to see why they remain such prominent figures in its history.
Probably a little over Samantha and Dwayne's budget. But let's leave the splendour of Chatsworth behind and go and meet up with the guys and find out what they think about the houses we showed them. So if it's OK, we'll go through the three houses, because it's always nice to hear your thoughts about them now in retrospect. So the first property was right in the heart of a very popular village. What do you think about that now?
I think it was a very nice house, very traditional. It had the sort of period features that we thought we wanted.
There's no question, it was an absolutely beautiful house, and it felt really nice to walk around. I think there would have been a compromise or two in terms of the third bedroom becoming a study. Although we could have done that, and the other option, of course, was putting the study outside, above or next to the garage, which potentially could also have worked. But either way, it would have been a compromise of one sort or another.
What about house number two? Because this was much more embedded in the landscape.
Quite an isolated position, quite a long drive to the house. The views were great, but again, lots of rooms, going off rooms, and didn't really have that flow that we were looking for.
I think it had a lot to give and a lot of potential. But I think on reflection, when we looked at the price of the property and what we would need to do to make it our own, I think that came out just a little bit too much over budget.
The mystery house, also down a valley, and there weren't amenities nearby, but that seemed to please you enormously.
That was a totally different proposition, a really nice surprise.
Yes, the house had a serenity and a calmness that really appealed to me. I think in my head I've probably already moved in.
Well, that's what we like to hear. What happens next then? I mean, would you revisit? Would you put an offer on?
I think I would definitely revisit and make some more inquiries. There's things about the garage and the lease and the communal gardens, etc. But certainly worth more investigation and discussion. Yeah.
Yes.
Good. Well, I very much hope that you pursue it and ideally move in. But whatever happens, it's been a real pleasure showing you around Derbyshire.
Thank you, Alistair. We've had a really lovely week. It's
testament to Derbyshire's good bones that even in a shroud of drizzle, it still looks beautiful. And sunshine or rain, it doesn't seem to have dampened Dwayne and Samantha's enthusiasm for moving here, particularly into that little slice of the Industrial Revolution. And if you've enjoyed our jaunt up here, then join us for more next time on Escape to the Country.
And if you'd like to escape to the country in Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland or England and need our help, please apply online at bbc.co.uk/be on a show.